This evening I would like to speak to you about the severe drought that George, South Africa is currently experiencing. I've lived in George for about a year and a half now, and after experiencing the effects of this drought, I decided to do some research and see if all of these problems that George is experiencing could have been prevented. It's been said that you never truly know what you have until it's gone. The people of George, myself included, are quickly realizing this in regards to water, as our supply of it is rapidly depleting. So we're learning if a community is unprepared for a drought, it can have very harsh and extreme effects on all aspects and members of that community. George is the sixth oldest town in South Africa. The diversity and scenic wonders has always been a popular tourist attraction. George is situated between the majestic Otanickel Mountains to the north and the Indian Ocean to the south. Although George is a very modern place, with everything you'd expect in a normal town, it still manages to keep a sense of history, as well as an overall atmosphere of peace and tranquility, typically associated with small towns. Sadly, though, that peace is being threatened, and the gorgeous attractions no longer possess their previous beauty as a result of the lack of water. Webster's dictionary defines a drought as a prolonged shortage of water. The word prolonged in this context could mean anything from a month to years. For George, it means that they have consistently received below average rainfall for the past 13 months. This has been the worst drought in recorded history, with records dating back 132 years. This severe and consistent lack of water is affecting almost every citizen and aspect of life in George. The first area in which the drought is being noticed is in the economy. Since George has such fertile land, there's many farms, and those farms produce the majority of the produce for the city, things such as the fruits and vegetables and meats. Without sufficient crops and livestock, the farmers are having a difficult time meeting demands, and thus causing the price of food to increase. A huge part of South Africa's workforce is made up of farm and lawn care workers. These men, occasionally women, are having an extremely difficult time finding work right now. Most of these individuals are very poor. They rely on their weekly paycheck to get by. Because they're unable to find work, these people are beginning to turn to crime in order to provide for themselves and their families. Crime has never been a real problem in George. It's considered a nice, safe place to settle down and raise a family. During the past year, though, the crime rate has shown a significant increase. The citizens of George have also noticed that the longer people are going without work, the more desperate they become. Because of this desperation, crimes are also becoming increasingly violent. Another huge part of the Garden Roots economy is tourism. People come from all over to see its stunning natural scenery. But now, thanks to the lack of water, the lush green mountains, the majestic waterfalls, and the overall beauty is nothing compared to what it used to be. South Africa is also known for its quality golf courses. Many tours such as the Masters, the South African Opens, and the World Cup of Golf have been held here. Once again, though, without the water to maintain these courses, it is no longer a place that pro golfers or tournaments are interested in. In an attempt to compensate for the lack of water, the municipality is doing what they can to fix the situation. The first thing they're doing is just raising awareness. Everywhere you go, you see signs reminding you that we're in a water-scarce area and asking you to do your part. The second thing that the government has done is created new rules, as well as installed water restrictions in order to conserve the small amount that we have left in the dam. Every family is allotted 15 kiloliters of water per month per household. People are no longer allowed to fill their pools, run sprinklers, or even wash their cars. As funny as it sounds, not washing your car is actually a status symbol in George. If you have a dirty car, then it shows people that you're respecting the water restrictions and doing your part to help. All of these rules have been strongly enforced, with fines being handed out regularly for excessive water use. Many citizens are also exploring other options that aren't mandated by the government. Things such as catching the small amount of rainwater that we get into barrels and then using that water to wash clothes or dishes. The Christian community has employed a Pray for Rain campaign where they gather together in a time of prayer to ask God for an end to this drought. Many citizens are asking the question, though, what else can be done? The overwhelming majority feels that the government was not properly prepared for a disaster like this, and that now we're all facing the consequences of their poor planning. According to the George Herald, which is our local newspaper, the municipality is looking at 3 different options to help ease the water shortage. The first is desalination. Desalination is when they take all the salt out of the ocean water and chemically treat it until it's usable. The second option is shipping in water from other areas. The problem with these 2 options is that they both come with an expensive price tag, and building a desalination plant would take time and money that the city just doesn't have. The third option is the most cost-effective option, and that is gray water treatment. Gray water is where the government would take wastewater, they would put it through a chemical process and treat it so that it's purified. Then it would be put back into the fresh water supply. So as you can see, just like in George, if a community is not properly prepared for things such as a drought, then the effects will be felt much stronger, and the measures that will need to be taken to correct the problem will be much more drastic. With proper planning, Georgia's economy could be flourishing rather than diminishing and causing crime. People would not be facing such harsh water restrictions, and the government would not have to be rushed into making a decision that will inevitably cost millions, if not billions of rand. The main reason for the severity of what we're facing now is because of the short-sightedness of the South African government, who made no provisions for a disaster such as this. The effect of this drought could have been prevented. The question is now, what can we do to prevent this from happening again? Not only with water, but with other resources as well. Hopefully this will serve as a lesson to us and others, because those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it.